I am Ankita Robin and welcome to ST Global News. From a report by a London-based non-profit uncovering details of the horrific persecution of Christians in Iran to the deep blue state of California dropping all charges against pro-life journalists who exposed Planned Parenthood for selling baby body parts, we have many stories to cover. A London-based non-profit organization has reported a significant rise in Christian persecution in Iran, where Christianity is considered a sect and a potential security threat. According to the report titled The Tip of the Iceberg, 96 Christians were sentenced to prison last year on charges related to their faith. The findings highlight ongoing challenges faced by Iran's Christian community, including forced recantations and severe restrictions on religious freedom.
Christian persecution has risen significantly in Iran. According to an annual report released by Article 18, a London-based non-profit organization dedicated to the promotion of religious freedom in Iran, 2024 was the worst year for Christians in Iran. The report titled The Tip of the Iceberg revealed that Christians in Iran faced a combined total of 263 years in prison sentences last year, a six-fold increase compared to 2023. In 2024, 96 Iranian Christians have been sentenced to imprisonment, out of which 5 Christians were sentenced to 10 years and 1 person to 15 years in prison, all for charges related to their faith. However, these figures represent just a fraction of the actual persecution faced by Christians in Iran. Leaked files from Tehran's judiciary point to a systematic repression of Christians in Iran who are labeled as members of a sect and a security threat. In Iran, promoting Christianity and even singing worship songs are criminalized. Once identified, Christians are pressured to recant their faith. The Bible is treated as a contraband and used as an evidence of criminal activity by the Iranian government. Christian properties are increasingly being confiscated and individuals are barred from receiving any financial aid from outside the country.
Pope Francis has formally recognized the martyrdom of servants of God Pedro de Copa and his 4 companions, all members of orders of Friars Minor, who were killed in 16th century Georgia in the United States. The Spaniard brothers came to the New World to proclaim the gospel to the indigenous population who practiced polygamy among other evils. It was their commitment to uphold the sanctity of marriage that led to their martyrdom. With this, the canonization process of these 5 saintly men will likely be expedited. On Monday, January 27th, Pope Francis authorized the Dicastery for the Causes of Saints to formalize the martyrdom of the servants of God Pedro de Copa and his 4 companions who were killed in Georgia, United States in the late 16th century. This directive was communicated to Cardinal Marcelo Semeraro, the prefect of the Dicastery for the Causes of Saints, during an audience with the Pope. The servants of God Pedro de Copa, Blas Rodriguez de Cuacos, Miguel de Anion, Antonio de Badajoz, and Francisco de Verascola, all members of the Orders of Friars Minor, were missionaries who accepted the call to evangelize in the New World. They established the mission of Our Lady of Guadalupe in the village of Tolomato, where they preached the gospel to the indigenous Guale population. The Guale practiced polygamy, a custom the friars opposed. They administered baptism only to adults who committed to monogamous marriage in line with Christian teachings. Conflict arose when Juanilo, the nephew and heir of the village chief and a baptized Catholic, sought to take a second wife. Father Pedro de Copa admonished Juanilo, reminding him of the promises he made at his baptism. Angered, Juanilo killed Father Pedro with an axe in September 1597. Subsequently, Juanilo and his followers brutally murdered Father Pedro's 4 companions, including Antonio de Badajoz, a lay brother who had worked as an interpreter alongside Miguel de Anion and assisted in celebrating their final mass. The Dicastery for the Causes of Saints stated on its website that the martyrs were killed due to their steadfast preaching of the doctrine of Christian marriage and their commitment to living according to their faith. The Dicastery also highlighted the missionaries' decision to journey to the Americas as an early sign of their willingness to give their lives for Christ. The diocesan phase of the beatification process for these servants of God has already concluded. The formal declaration of their martyrdom will accelerate the path to canonization for these saintly men who upheld the sanctity of marriage and their Christian faith over 5 centuries ago. Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan is set to visit the United States in February to address the 5th Annual International Religious Freedom Summit. He is expected to highlight the plight of Armenian Christians in the Nagorno-Karabakh region following reports of ethnic cleansing by Azerbaijani forces since 2023. The visit comes as Donald Trump, who pledged to protect persecuted Christians during his 2024 campaign, has taken office as the 47th President of the United States of America.
Armenian Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan will visit the United States in early February. According to the head of government's press secretary, the Prime Minister will participate in the 5th Annual International Religious Freedom Summit set to take place on February 4th and 5th in Washington, D.C., as well as the National Prayer Breakfast. Pashinyan will also deliver a speech at the IRF Summit that will bring together international religious freedom leaders, advocates from around the world, and a diverse coalition of civil society actors that support religious freedom around the globe. President Donald Trump criticized the Biden-Harris administration for doing nothing when 120,000 Armenian Christians in the Artsakh region were persecuted and forcibly displaced by Azerbaijan. In his Truth Social post on October 23, 2024, Trump stated that when he becomes president, he would protect persecuted Christians, work to stop the violence and ethnic cleansing, and restore peace between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Following months of conflict in the disputed region with Armenia in 2023, Azerbaijan unleashed military strikes against 120,000 Armenian Christians who had been residing there for hundreds of years. The forced expulsions and massacres were an ethnic cleansing, and Azerbaijani forces are systematically trying to erase the Armenian Christians' history and heritage by demolishing churches and religious sites.
Following the annual March for Life in Washington, D.C., Californians walked in support for life in the 21st Annual Walk for Life West Coast in San Francisco on Saturday. California, a deep blue state, has enshrined abortion until birth in their constitution mere months after the overturning of Roe v. Wade. The state also pours billions of dollars annually in support for abortion.
Thousands of people participated in the 21st Annual Walk for Life West Coast in San Francisco on Saturday, January 25th. Before the pro-life rally and march, a mass was offered at St. Mary's Cathedral by San Francisco Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone, Sacramento Bishop Jamie Soto, Santa Rosa Bishop Robert Vosa, and Auxiliary Bishop of Military Affairs Joseph Coffey celebrated the Mass. Following the Mass, pro-lifers walked from the Civic Center Plaza down Market Street to Embarcadero Plaza. This year's speaker included Ryan Baumberger, founder of the Radiance Foundation, Sister Dada Dede Bayan, a former army surgeon, and Reverend Clinard Childress, founder of blackgenocide.org. An enthusiastic crowd walked in an atmosphere that resounded with mariachi music, chants, and the rosary. The supporters of life carried icons of the Theotokos, images of Our Lady of Guadalupe, and Indian devotional umbrellas. The annual Walk for Life West Coast started in 2005 when a group of Bay Area residents came together to protest against abortion and raise awareness. California enshrined abortion until birth in its constitution in a statewide vote 5 months after the U.S. Supreme Court's 2022 Dobbs v. Jackson Women's Health Organization decision overturned Roe v. Wade. California pours billions of dollars into support for abortion.
To mark the conclusion of the 58th Annual Week of Prayer for Christian Unity, a Vesper service was held at St. Paul's Basilica, bringing together clergy from various denominations. During the service, Pope Francis reflected on the significance of the Council of Nicaea and its enduring influence in bridging divisions within the Christian world. Addressing the faithful and representatives of various Christian denominations gathered at the Basilica of St. Paul on Saturday, Pope Francis emphasized the importance of ecumenism and made a passionate appeal for Christians to take a decisive step toward common unity. While addressing Orthodox representatives attending the event, Pope Francis highlighted that 2025 would be a providential moment as both Catholics and Orthodox would celebrate Easter simultaneously for the first time in 700 years. During the Mass for the Feast of St. Paul's Conversion, which coincided with the conclusion of the 58th Week of Prayer for Christian Unity, the Pontiff reflected on the encounter between Christ and Martha following Lazarus' death. He emphasized the significance of the hope given by Christ that her brother would rise from the dead. Pope Francis also provided insightful commentary on how Christ's profound question, "Do you believe this?" the theme of this year's Unity Week, serves as a source of hope even in times of utmost desolation. At the Vesper service, the Pope recalled the words of Apostle Paul, who told the Romans, quote, "Hope does not disappoint us because God's love has been poured into our hearts through the Holy Spirit," end quote. The Pontiff concluded the service by noting the significance of this year's Jubilee year, which coincides with the 1700th anniversary of the Council of Nicaea. He emphasized that the Council's profession of faith transcends all the divisions that have riven the body of Christ over the centuries. On Friday, President Donald Trump signed an executive order reinstating the long-standing Mexico City policy. First adopted during the Reagan era, the policy prohibits U.S. funding for foreign non-governmental organizations that perform or advocate for abortion. Pro-life advocates across the country welcomed the move, expressing hope for additional measures to protect unborn children during the president's second term. Through an executive order signed on Friday, former U.S. President Donald Trump reinstated the Mexico City policy, a long-standing policy that blocks funding to foreign organizations that perform or even endorse abortion. Friday's order revoked the Biden-era directive that had overturned the decades-long pro-life rule. The measure, first announced at the 1984 International Conference on Population in Mexico City, expressly prohibits the government from providing taxpayers' money to foreign NGOs that perform or promote abortion as a method of family planning. The rule was implemented in the US by then-President Ronald Reagan in 1985 and has been rescinded by every Democratic president and re-implemented by every Republican one. President Trump reintroduced the rule during his first term and expanded it to cover several new government health initiatives. Several prominent pro-life activists, including Lila Rose and former Vice President Mike Pence, expressed their enthusiasm for Trump's move. Live Action founder Lila Rose wrote on X on Friday evening, quote, "Great move by President Trump reinstating the Mexico City policy, which ensures American taxpayers do not fund the killing of babies overseas," end quote. In another development for the pro-life movement, the state of California dismissed various criminal charges against anti-abortion activist David Daleiden, founder and president of the Center for Medical Progress. The charges were dropped after a plea deal was reached between prosecutors and Daleiden's legal team. Daleiden is known for his undercover journalism, which brought to light Planned Parenthood executives' systemic plan to sell body parts of aborted fetuses. The state of California dismissed the unprecedented video recording case against the Center for Medical Progress founder and president David Daleiden, launched by then Attorney General Kamala Harris. The agreement reached on January 27 has cleared Daleiden and CMP undercover reporter Sandra Merritt from all charges related to the recording that exposed Planned Parenthood. In a statement, Daleiden said, quote, "After enduring 9 years of weaponized political prosecution, putting an end to the lawfare launched by Kamala Harris is a huge victory for my investigative reporting and for the public's right to know the truth about Planned Parenthood's sale of aborted baby body parts," end quote. Steve Cooley, who led Daleiden's legal defense team throughout the case, noted that he had never seen such a blatant exercise of selective investigation and vindictive prosecution. He added that the California attorneys general who initiated the case and pursued it for nearly 10 years should be ashamed for weaponizing their office to pursue people who were merely exposing illegality associated with the harvesting and sale of fetal body parts. David Daleiden leads the Center for Medical Progress, exposing the dark side of abortion practices, including late-term abortions and the sale of fetal tissue for research. That's all for today. Until we meet again, God bless and thank you.